Five Reasons podcast. We are on episode number 3, and we are live here. I'm Vonel Lamore. Like to introduce yourself, co-host.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gerlins Samarazier.
Alrighty. So yes, we are here. Welcome everybody who's tuned in live here on Facebook and tuned in on YouTube, and whoever's replaying this wherever you are across the world. We welcome you. So we are here to again with another episode where we talk about 5 reasons that you have, um, whatever they are. We talk about personal development, talk about business strategy, and we just talk about wellness and just overall progressive ideology and just thinking and bettering ourselves and our community.
Mhm.
Today's episode, we have a special guest slash host. We have Gerlins here who we're going to interview and find out some key jewels about his beginnings, his origins, and we're going to fast forward to what where he currently is right now with the business, with 5 Reasons, with his books, and with his program and different things he has going on. He's been doing some amazing things in the space of personal development and just organizational consulting. So we shall jump right into it. So without further ado, I'll allow Gerlins to, first for the audience who isn't aware of you, you can tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the Q&A.
That sound good. That sound good. Well, welcome everyone. Again, my name is Gerlins Samarazier. I was born in Haiti, came here, grew up here, high school, college, all the great stuff. My life has been a journey, basically. From I like to say that I had the opportunity to get the best of both worlds. Grew up a little bit in Haiti. The first part of my chapter, my life chapter, started in Haiti, and second chapter, came here, come to America, um, and around a time where it wasn't really pleasant, to be Haitian in the early '90s. When you say you were Haitian, it was like I would say, it was like a curse back in the days. But nevertheless, it was great time. Had a great opportunity to met some unforgettable friends, to help me throughout the journey. And high school was the best of time. I wish I could go back and do it over. You know, I would have get this time. I would
Well,
have get it so
listen,
right.
before you get further, can you dive in just a little deeper on your what you remember in terms of the difficulties of just being Haitian, being an immigrant, and coming in here? What made it so difficult, and why was it such a problem?
Well, understand, when I came, it was around the time 1990. Was a time where um, being a Haitian children growing up, from you have an accent, you did not speak the language. It was real tough, really, and so there, especially as a male, the only acceptance that you have is through other groups of friends, male friends, and some was associated. Everybody had their own passy, their own clique, and some was we did good, and there's others like kind of get lost in the process while set up your own posse as a self-defense mechanism. But I had
Mhm.
friends who took it too far, where involving drugs and gangs and stuff. But nevertheless, no, everybody, you had to do that too, and as a way of self mechanism um, to protect yourself, from getting attacked from other African American, kids and stuff, and because it wasn't pleasant being Haitians, and on top of that, you could get discriminated at the school by teachers and principals and stuff, and nevertheless, and people think like it goes way back, even by the police, targeting and as a young child, basically young man, and so yeah, those were the challenges. The primarily the language. But as a result, everybody create their own clique. That's why you hear that, many different gangs, the Chargers, back in the days, if you're from Boston, the NCs, if you grew up in NC, H-back, all these, groups and stuff like that. But no, I had my own little crew, my own little groups, nevertheless, to, we do things. And as it evolved later on in life, we end up creating some people goes took a negative pathway with their own groups and stuff. I was very fortunate to be part of different groups and where we were become so productive to the point where we created this group called Lego Entertainment.
Nice.
That was my first group venture way back in the days in the 90s. After high school, with high school friends, we did the Cambridge Carnivals, fashion shows, parties, and stuff. Back then,
Nice.
it wasn't very hard to rent, to do parties. Many of the places now. I was driving by Cambridge the other day. There was a church that we used to, a hall on Harvard Square, we used to rent to do big parties. And now it's just like all condos, hotels, and things like that. But no, back in the days, that's what we used to do. We turned that negative energy into positive, where we become very respected in the community, and because of the work. And for me, I took that situation, I seen the opportunity on it, and capitalized on the positive aspect. And nevertheless, there was some great work that's being done at that time. That was a time where, I don't know, you probably were young, on the Brooklyn Bridge, when they had that march for when CDC Games said Haitian, was the one who gave AIDS. No, that's why AIDS is from Haiti and those type of things. There was a big march on Brooklyn, and then later on, with the Aristide in 1991, with the Aristide coup, everybody, we used to go by City Hall every evening, on protests, big protests and stuff like that. That's where, as far as I get my first taste of social justice, and community involvement, participations, and things like that. So those are the good time. Looking back, if I could go back to relive it, great memories.
Okay, so nice. So now just you start off in Cambridge, you kind of overcome a little bit of that discrimination and pressure and turning negativity to positivity. What's next? What happens? What's the after you sort of gain some traction, you're in the country for a little while, you get acclimated. What happens next?
Well, no, the next chapter was high school, graduating college and stuff with no frills and head to school.
Now, was school an option at the time? I mean, was that something where you felt like you had to go to school to learn everything, or did you feel like maybe you wanted to work? Like, how did you decide?
It wasn't an option, because at that time it was school. You had to go to everybody that you graduated with, majority of went to college, and the culture at that particular time, it was just like, hey, as a Haitian kid, that's a path, they put for you, like, hey, if you want to take your life to the next step, you come to here and get an opportunity, and the opportunity is really to go to school. So I was very fortunate, even through high school. That was the next step for all of us, all good friends of us who were in high school together. That was the path. Everybody was going to college. There was no if and but about that. So with that said, that's the path that I follow. End up going to college, Salem State. Now is Salem State University, but back in the days it was like Salem State College.
Okay. Yeah. So here's the question. So you're in high school. You've been in the country a few years, and of course the culture is saying everyone must go to college in order to make something of yourself. But as a teenager with very limited experience, how do you decide what you're going to do with the rest of your life? You know, what are you going to major in? What are you going to, what are you going to do?
Well, my freshman year, when I got accepted, and I didn't have a major. It wasn't decided. When I got to campus, everybody that I knew in campus were had two majors. It's either criminal justice or business. So for me, it was like, okay, no, it's either one or the other. So I just chose criminal justice as a path. But although the business aspect was always, the business DNA was always in me, but I didn't have the proper guidance, really to like, okay, I'm going to focus on studying business and this and that. At that time, I didn't have those guidance. I just I did criminal justice, and by the time I got out, I graduated in '98, and that's when the IT market was really hot. That's where you want to be. So as soon as I graduated, there was a program at Wentworth University, and it was an IT Microsoft System Engineer bootcamp program. So I immediately enrolled on that program. While I was in that program, I landed a job at Tufts University, and that's where I started as an IT, and then I ended up graduating from that program with my IT certification,
Nice.
and then start working on the field, and help desk manager, networking, all those type of things. But that was never me. It was just like, okay, I was still trying to find my path, basically, in that sense. But nevertheless, I did that for a while, and then from there, it kind of bridged into project management, and then from project management, and that's when I started really get my hands involved in the nonprofit world, nonprofit sector, working with other nonprofit organizations, and with different boards and things like that. So I started developing the passion, but nevertheless, I was still doing my own business things on the side. I remember my first magazine, like my first actual venture. My first business that I launched was called Boston Small Business Advertising Group. So it was just like, I started that company to really run around. That was around when the internet started evolving and stuff. I launched that business to create website advertising for small businesses like Webbinder. So I had a good friend of mine who was a graphic designer. So I
So,
went.
real quick. So at that point, though, what was the transition? Would you say from working at a place to the entrepreneur business route? Like, when did you discover the word entrepreneur and consider business as something you wanted to do?
Actually, that word, I didn't even understand what that word mean until like
Yeah,
way
because I
later.
mean,
So
now it's a cool word. It's a
yeah, it's a
buzzword.
cool
Everyone
word.
wants to be that, but there was a
Exactly.
time where it was not.
Hustler.
Yeah.
The term back in the day is like a hustler. You just gotta
Yeah.
get your hustle on, because that was only two paths. It's either you sell drugs to make some quick cash, sell some rocks, you got, and no, or you make something happen. And but like I said, no, by the grace of God, I've always been around good people. That the core friends that I had through high school. So we all transitioned, even to this day, to on that path. Everybody was doing. So we were always pushing each other. Get together, do things. Even with the Lego Entertainment thing. So I was still part of that group. We were still doing different events and things like that. So although later on we all branch out, to do our own thing, individual thing, so everybody, but we will still have the support for everybody, of each other. So for me, and that's when just like, business idea. And at that time, people come to me like, yo, I want to do this, I want to do that. So I'll just sit down and then just help them help write, whether it's like writing a business plan. Imagine that I never took a business class a day of my life,
Mhm.
but I could sit down and just help them write a business plan and things, and just like write, put a marketing plan together. It's just like it comes natural to me. So that was my God given uh, ability, just to do it. It come natural, always come natural. So it wasn't until like later on, so I decided to take it to the next step in terms of structure it, like more into a business, do more. So it's just like it's a level. So each step is a level. So when I get to the next step, I realize what I've been doing, all along, and then utilize that package, that experience, and utilize it to my best advantage on the next step.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, can you touch on how do you feel the importance of having a team or around you? How do you feel that's you know
Oh, it's
uh,
I wish, like, I'm looking back with the well, when I started the magazine back in the days, it was called Yondernet magazine. So the first thing that I did was, at that time, I didn't even realize that it was a self-assessment. So I did a self-assessment. I did a business assessment. So I sit down. I realized that no, so there are certain skill set that I did not have to make that business successful. So what I end up doing is, recruiting some friends of mine, people that I knew who had specific sets of skills, and bring them on board, to help me, launch, to help me with that, people that was better in writing than I am, editors, people like graphic skills, graphic design skills, people with just like analytic skills, marketing. So I created like a superstar team, bring them with me in terms to launch the magazine. We did that for a few years, but until like things happen, the market crash, then the whole business model, fell. But that was the first time that I was able to put a team together, assemble a team, and through it all, that experience, I learned so much, because now it helps me in terms of like when I'm recruiting, when I'm assessing. So I use that as a base in terms of knowing what I'm looking for. Because before, a lot of times you have an idea, you want to bring people with you, but you've seen the specific, you've seen something on someone, you've seen their specific skill set, but that doesn't mean they've seen it in themselves, you know, and that doesn't mean they are a great fit for the what you are trying to accomplish. The, but what they want to do, what you want to do is just to make sure that that person felt fit into the vision. Where I didn't do just like, hey, here's my friend, he's this and this, I think he's good at this, and bring everybody. But at the end of the day, everything's fall off. When you hit the wall, everything fall off, because these people you gathered, they were there was something missing in terms of like for the long run. They're just like great people, great friends of mine. They what I realized, they come on board just to help me. They didn't come on board because of the vision.
okay, okay.
So
So let's break this down. So you're saying it's more important to believe in the mission or the vision of the organization than the leader.
absolutely, absolutely. Because what we have is that people who come to an organization because they are attracted to the leader, to the whoever's running the organ. So there's a leadership charisma uh, that uh, that attract people to whatever, whether it's to the business and things, or they want to, for the connection, they want to be around you because of the connections, they want to be around you, they want to be part of it just for for people, just to show off. But that doesn't mean they believe on the mission, because that's the key. When you bring people with you that doesn't believe on the mission of whether it's your organization or your company, who doesn't see the big vision of it, later on it's going to be a problem, because when you hit a rock, when you hit no when you get into an obstacle, um, that's when you're going to see people just like, okay, well, it was nice knowing you, bro. Just like, let me know when things, when you get unstuck. Let me know when things get better. But whereas, like, no, to the mission of the organization is just like, whereas people who believe in the mission, they also believe in you, but they believe in the mission. It's okay, let's do it different way. Let's get unstuck. So they seen the vision, like, okay, I'm doing this not because of Lens, but I'm doing it because of the organization. I seen the potential of where this can go.
So along the way, okay, so definitely team vision, organization over individual leadership. Now, how important would you say funding is in the early stages of starting these ventures?
Oh, funding is always the key.
Okay.
Funding is always the key, but you don't want to. You don't want to. You want to start, like, if anybody has a vision to start a company. Don't let funding stop you. You want to come up with the ideas. You want to work with the ideas. Then the funding aspect will come. Nevertheless, the funding is very, very important. You just gotta find ways to implement the funding to make it happen. So that should be the priority number one. Whether you are not nonprofit organizations, whether you're a business, you're starting a nonprofit, or you're starting a business, funding should always be a priority. How are you gonna pay for it? How are you gonna make money? Where you gonna have money to pay your staff to to get the things done, what needs to be done. Funding should, at the end of the day, funding is the backbone of any business or any nonprofit organization. You won't believe how many clients and people. I do a lot of consulting with many tons of nonprofit organizations. It's like, oh yeah, I want to create this nonprofit. I have this organization to help this. I'm like, my first question usually, how you know where you gonna get the money? Oh yeah, no, that's why I wanna do it the 501c3 so I could get grant. They don't hand out grant like that. It's just that, oh, I could get, people could, I could do fundraising. It doesn't work that way, because people think it's like easy. I put an organization together, then I'll go get a grant, to make it happen. People who donate, people who give me money, so I could do it because it's a great cause. No. So you always have to have a strategic fundraising plan. In fact, where you go to get the money, how you going to raise the money, how the money is, what you're going to do with the money. So the how, it's always going to be the key. No matter how great your idea is, at the end of the day, that's what's going to validate. The funding is going to validate your ideas.
So when you so I guess two questions. One is, how do you go about getting funding? And then number two is, what's the first thing that any organization should spend money on? Should it be staff? Is it?
Are you talking about from a startup perspective, or are you talking about
somebody just getting started up? What is the most critical thing to spend money on?
All right. Let's do it, and let's break it down into. For example, if it's a nonprofit organization, so first of all, your priority with that particular funding should be how you're going to spend it. What is the vision? What is the mission of the organization? So that's where all the funding is going to come about. How you're going to spend. If you have, let's say you have a small organization that's helping women, with whatever issue is. So now you have to prioritize. Okay, what programs that I'm going to create, for that particular women. So you have to develop program priority. From there, it's just like, that's how you're going to be able to develop a spending strategy. Just because you raise $5,000 for your program, that means you have to spend all 5,000. Nevertheless, that whatever you raise, whatever people give you money for, that's what it has to go to. So if if a donor give you, I'm talking from a nonprofit for organization, if a donor give you $5,000, to do an after school program, okay, you cannot take that $5,000. Okay, I'm going to spend 3,000 on the nonprofit on the program, another two, the other 3,000 outstanding and staff. No. So it doesn't, you have to be very clear. So
About what he's
if
spending.
yeah, how you going to spend it? If on your proposal to the donor, you said, okay, this is how much that you have to break down your budget. No, that's why they're asking you for a simple budget. This is how much it's gonna I'm gonna have to spend on staff to run that program. This is how much I'm gonna have to spend on items, on materials, that I need to do the program. This is how much I'm going to have to spend for food, all this stuff, Then, okay, so now you have a reasonable spending expense based on that program. But if I was just saying, okay, I bring in $5,000 automatically, me as a founder of the organizations, okay, I put away $1,000 for me, and then the other 4,000 is just to run dog. It doesn't work that way, and that's why a lot of smaller organizations get into trouble with IRS when regarding tax regulations and stuff like that. From a startup perspective, from a business perspective, that's different. So if you have $5,000, you raise $5,000, whether it's from friends and family, you already know that $5,000 you got to stretch it to make it last for 2-3 months until that you bring in the next.
So here's the question. For example, let's use a $5,000 example. Let's say you do the math and your budget is $5,000, right? In order to cover your overhead, whatever it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But even after all the struggle and the fundraising and securing, you only come up with 4,000. So like you're $1,000 short.
Mm-hmm.
What should the business do or the organization? They close down?
No, you can't close down. You got to.
So what do you do when you're short and you haven't made enough? How many more months should you keep going until you figure it out?
That's why you have to if that's what you have, whatever you have in your hands, you got to make it work. So I say you budgeted for $5,000 for your programs, but at the end of the day, you end up raising 4,000. So now you have to be realistic. Go back to the drawing board. Okay, I did projected for $5,000 for this program to run. So look at the program. That's why it's good to have a program description. You have to have a program plan, just like you have a business plan for your organization or the business. So whatever you're gonna do, you need to create a plan. So if I'm gonna have a program to feed 200 kids, you need a program plan. So now that's where it comes to play. Now you go to look at your program plans and say, okay, I could make a cut here, I could make a cut here, I could make a cut here in order to balance the $5,000 with the 4,000 that I have. Now you'll be able to balance your budget. You balance your budget. While you're balancing your budget, you should balance in your programs. So for they go hand in hand. It's the same as as a startup company, as a company. So you're looking at what you have. You were planning to raise $5,000. You end up raising 4,000. So now with the 4,000, you just say, okay, what area can I cut back on? I could cut back on marketing. So if I was gonna spend 1,000 on marketing, so now I'm gonna have to spend like maybe 300 in marketing. If I was gonna spend 2,000 on products, so now I'm gonna have to pivot and find a way to spend 4,000. I mean 2,000, 2 or 3, to make it work. You see what I'm saying? So you have to look at your budget, and when you look at the budget, you have to look at your plan that you have, your original plan, and make those cuts to make it work, no matter what.
Okay. So, and then the second part to that is how long, how many months, years, or whatever, of continuously losing money every month do you decide? Okay, you know what? Maybe I should pivot, or maybe I should
quick. Yeah, call it quick.
How do you decide when enough's enough?
If you have it, okay, let me speak from a nonprofit perspective, because I get this from a lot from funders. in both and nonprofit as well, boards and stuff. If your organizations, let's say your annual budget for your organization is, let's say $50,000. Under 50,000, you have you paying your executive director, no, let's say half of it or quarter of it goes to your executive director, and other things. But you have to know that this $50,000, it just lasts just for 1 year. So every year you're going to need 50,000 to run that company, to run that organization. So your priority is to plan for the next 3 years. No, you don't wait until when you're on year two trying to raise for year two. No, right from the gate, like you're starting now, you're starting your organization, whatever you have to plan for the next year. You don't want to go into next year and you don't have anything
plan.
on the budget. You don't want to have anything on the account. So you plan for next year every year. So your priority, even from for your executive director, when you have as a founder or on your board, the people you on your board, the priority number one should be fundraising. And you wouldn't believe how people get it backward. They're just like, oh yeah, I'm bringing my friends, I'm bringing this and bring that on the board to create a board, to push the organization. Next thing you know, an organization been around for 2 to 3 years. You're pulling money out of your pocket to make project. That's not correct. If anytime you try to put it's money coming out of your own pocket to pay for projects, to pay for items for the organization, it's called to shut down. Because the whole point, j'aime dit en créole, reste cochon supposé cochon. So that's why you plan. From the beginning, yes, you may not have the money. So if everybody collectively come together and okay, so I'm trying to raise $50,000. Okay, so I know a couple of people, donating 5, 3, whatever the amount. So at the end of the day, for year one, I end up raising 35,000. Okay, so that 35,000, I know that's going to carry me until for the next 12 months. And then so the next 12 months, you have to find a way how you're going to carry the organization again for the next 12 months, step by step. But it comes down to your executive director. The main job is raising money, trying to find money, any way possible. That's your job. The people you have on your board, it's the same thing. Find a way to for them to donate, to connect, bring the money in.
Now here's the thing though, and not to cut you short, but cut you off, but I want to make sure we just got a question in. I just want to make sure, because sometimes I think with funding or with the organizations, it's difficult to know when to pull the plug, like when to keep on going and keep raising funds versus when maybe the organization should take a serious serious look at closing. So if you could kind of comment on.
Sure. Well, let me put it this. I think a lot of organizations should not be open, should not be. No.
How do you know? How does the organization?
Because it's like one single founder's organization. That's what I meant. It's a one single, like one person is supporting the whole organization. You work in the job, and then everything that everything's coming out of your pocket. That's not an organization. If everything coming out of your pocket to maintain the organization, that's not an organization. So you might well just like a charity project, basically, because the whole point of creating an organization, there has to be some structure. You need structure. Anytime, that's why you call it organization. You need structure in place that would help you execute a few things. But if you keep on spending money coming every month, you have to spend money out of your own pocket to keep this program, to keep this program, to keep this. It's not a sustain. That's what we call about sustainability. That organization is not sustainable. There's no need, because it's not bringing. It's costing you more. It become a liability. It's costing you. Anything that's costing you is a liability. So you don't want to be on that path, a liability path. You want to be, sustainable. That's why it's important when you start something, make sure that the first, how am I going to sustain? How am I going to sustain the organization? How are we going to, sustain this business? To make sure that it could take care of itself. Yes, you got to be 24/7. You're going to be on a fundraising mode. There's nothing wrong, but it should be. It's a collective. The whole point of having organization, it's a collective effort. The funding should not come from just one particular source or an individual. Because a lot of time people say, oh yeah, I want it's going to be grant. No, I'm going to look for grant. Like, there's a bunch of grant. No, the thing about grants is that you applied. While you apply, there's another 100 organizations that apply. Your chances are to get a grant is between 2 to 5% when you send a proposal to get a grant, whatever type of grant it is. It's a competition. Yeah, so you cannot rely on one particular source. That's why you have to, rely on different donors. That's why you have to have a diverse source of fundraising. How you're going to bring the money to help sustain the organization. If you can't do that, there's no need to keep the organization.
Get out of there.
Yeah. You could always contribute to something else similar.
Gotcha.
I don't know if I answered the question for that particular individual.
Yeah, I think we're good there. So if you want to kind of continue with the journey, and I know we're running low on time, but I definitely want to make sure we get in some solid jewels here where at some point you turned into an author, correct?
Yeah.
Like, from worker, or before that from student to worker, entrepreneur, and then we added a new thing to your book. You want to talk about first your book, and then tell us how you wrote that book. Did you go to school? Did you learn writing in school? Were you a English scholar?
I wish.
When you picked up the English language back in the 90s, did you just somehow become this amazing,
None of the above, my brother. None of the above. Actually, I wrote that book in regard to what we just spoke about. A to Z is the answer. Because that particular, that was my first book, A to Z for a nonprofit organization. Basically, I break down like every letter on this book. Like that's why I call A to Z. From A, cover a specific subject regarding a nonprofit organization. This is a perfect reference guide, basically, for any founder, board executives, or if you're in the nonprofit sector, especially in the Haitian community, there's a lot of people doing project back home and things involved in different organizations. This is an excellent guide, reference guide for them, because everything.
Where do we get that? Where do we find that book? Where's that available?
They could get it on Amazon. It's available on Amazon, or they could hit me up if I'll leave my information.
And again, but I mean, let's backtrack slightly though. I mean, you're moving too fast for the public here. How do you just write a book? Like, do you just wake up one day and say, I'm going to write a book? Like, how does that become something that, you talk about A to Z. What's the A to Z of writing a book? Where you say,
well, the idea of that, to write my first book was really, I wanted to compile my experience in the nonprofit sector as a consultant, and as a former board executive, and also as a former executive director of a grassroots community-based organization. I had the privilege to serve. So I compiled those experiences that I know in the nonprofits field, based on what I've seen, based on what I live, me personally, my own struggle as an executive director. I wish that I had, someone to guide me in the process and things. So that's how I was able, in 2018, I took a step back and then, decided, like, okay, you know what, I'm going to put a guide, together. And that's what the idea of the book started. And I didn't have any, I never wrote a book before. I never took a writing class before, nothing. So I just sit there, just like, that's why they say whatever you put your mind in, you could accomplish. So I just decided, I'm gonna write a book, and then I just, start writing every day. I create a goal. Every day I'm gonna write one page. Every day I'm gonna write one page. So, and I create an outline of what I want to write about, and then from that outline, every day I start writing. So it took me
Okay.
about 3 to
Yeah,
6
go ahead.
months.
Took you how long?
It
So
took me
then,
about
okay, so you write the book, and then what? Like publishers just started running and knocking on your door and saying, "Yo, hey, listen, we need here's $1 billion. We need all rights to this
I
book."
wish. Hey, if you're a publisher, you're watching this, I'll be more than happy to republish it. Give me a contract now. I decided I look into different publishing model,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, the idea it wasn't really about making money. It was more about to put something out there that could help people. Um, and that's what that was the idea of creating this. I'm like, okay, um, I know a lot of people. While I had the opportunity and the privilege to sit in many different settings, different organizations and stuff. So I want to put something out there that would help the next, someone who has an idea to start a small nonprofit or have a nonprofit that's not doing too well. So I just want to, that's my way of putting something, my knowledge out there just to help someone, basically. And the second reason I wrote it, the motivation for me was to create a legacy, a legacy that would last, hundreds of years. Because, you could be gone today, but this will last for, like, there's books right now until 1600, you could go back, but the author has been dead for a long time. But this is a legacy. When you write a book, you create a legacy for your kids, a legacy for your family, a legacy for your community. For me, I was looking more in the community level. I want to create a legacy for my community, a resource, leave a resource. That was the motivation for me to write my first book. I didn't know what I was doing, but all I knew, just like, I want to put a book out there. And I was determined by the end of the year, I need to have a book,
Nice.
no matter what.
So no, that's amazing because I think just like we talked about entrepreneurship being a foreign term growing up, I think being an author was probably even more foreign, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Because there was a time where writing a book was just you just had to be, somebody famous, or you had to be some kind of PhD student,
Mm-hmm.
or like a professor or something, or somebody big.
Mm-hmm.
So you write the first book. Tell us what happens next.
Well, after I wrote the first book, I was very grateful, and I had a lot of support from friends and family, who purchased the book, who supported me. Great, got some great receptions for the book. I had the opportunity to. The book opened many doors for me, which speaking opportunities, speaking engagement, and as well as opportunity to do trainings at many different places and stuff. And nevertheless, I was doing the same thing, but on a smaller scales. But after the book, more doors start opening on larger scales. And so uh, from there, and I had the idea to write a follow-up, a second book, but this year actually. But no, as you know, 2020 had a plan for on its own, and back in
2020, I
January,
don't know what happened in 2020.
I'm back in January. I had plans to go to travel abroad to go do some seminars. I was one of the international NGOs had contacted me to go do. I was supposed to do 3 workshops in February in Haiti
Yeah,
for some
nice.
for because some of them operating in different part of the country, 3 different sections in Haiti, and but with the pandemic and things, We on a shutdown. So that plan did not fall through. So as a result, we started to be, on lockdown. But during that lockdown, shutdown, or whatever you want to call it, no, from February to March, and I start thinking, I'm like, damn, what am I gonna do? While everybody's at home, trying to, some of them bored or do something. That's when an idea come to my head because I was already working on a personal development project. For me, I like to develop myself, stay, to become the best version of me that I can be. So from there, I have had put a draft. I had a draft of things, the personal development questionnaires that I was working on for myself.
Okay.
And as I was working on it, doing the exercise, it took me. I spent a month, every day. I put like 8 hours a day working on it, working on the questionnaires. And by the end of it, it was so good, and it allowed me to get to know myself, on a deeper level, where I was like, wow, I never knew, like, who I was really like. No, there's certain things that happen to yourself. You never, I never had time to sit back and reflect on myself. So that particular project, as a result of it, so I decided to put it in a book form. So that's how the idea of the 5 Reason book journal was created. It's based on a set of 5 questions and answers that could take you on a personal discovery to discover yourself, from an emotional perspective, from a financial perspective, from a relational perspective, from a every aspect of your life, from a spiritual perspective. It covers everything that you could think of when it comes to you. And the beauty of it is just like each person, it's catered to you as an individual. So what's in there for me won't be the same, for you. Your answers, it's only catered to you. So that's how I started. I spent like the whole quarantine time working on this, from March until June, and then on June I decided to release it, to publish it,
Nice.
and I've been since then got some great reviews about it.
So let me
Great
let me let me ask: when putting together the book, whether this one or the first one, do you think it's more about the author or the reader?
It's for me, it's all about the reader. I don't try to make it about me, and that's why you see, like, all the information, so what you're gonna read about me, it's always in the back, because
Okay.
I took myself out of it. And even with this, you won't find the information about the author until way in the back. So it's not about me. I didn't write this about me. I wrote it about the reader. So I try to put myself in the reader's mind, the person who's reading it. They're thinking, how's that affect me as a reader? How's that help me as a reader? Is it worth my time as a reader? What I'm gonna get out of it? Is that gonna make me a better person? Is that gonna help me change my life, my income, all this type of thing? So I try to, put myself in the reader's shoes as I put it together. So every time you're writing a book, you're writing something, you always take yourself out of it. Think about the reader, as the reader is reading it. You get into the reader's mind, in order to accomplish, to relay the message that you try to relay, for that emotional connection.
Okay. Makes sense. All right. So listen, we're coming to that full hour, but what I wanted to get into is a little bit about the future. We talked about the past, we talked about the present, but in terms of 5 reasons and just Girlness in general, Girlness Enterprises, um, how do you use the experience you've had of the past mixed with what you're currently working on, and then thinking into the future? What's that process like, and how would you sort of advise anybody who's thinking about the future, and how important is it to think of the future versus thinking in the present, and
This
then
that's all it's about.
back.
everything I said, no, it's all about it. That part of what I did with the book and creating it, I create a set of plan for the next 10 years and where you want to be the next 10 years. So I laid out a map, a goal map for you, and you could plug that in where you want to be for the next 10 years. But as for me personally, my future plan is really to help people in any capacity that I can. That's why I was, put on this earth as to fulfill a specific needs. I recognize my gift. My gift is to be a trainer. No, naturally, I love to present. I'm a presenter. I'm a trainer. I love to train people. I love to pass my knowledge, and I don't mind. One of the greatest things that give me joy is standing in front of people, group, sharing my experience, sharing my knowledge with them. So that's something that I love doing. I could do it in my sleep, whether I'm getting paid for it or not. I always want to do that. But in regard to the company, Five Reason basically it's a personal development company, but we're in a process of slowly but truly make it better each and every day, and seeing how we could pivot it. Make no mistake about it. It's a business. It's a startup. As a business and startup, revenue models always the key, how you're going to make money to sustain sustainability. So, but in terms of the company itself, that's why we have that Five Reason T-shirts. We got
Nice.
different models. If you go to Five
Where
Reason,
can I get one of those T-shirts? Are those
yeah.
something that are for
Actually, I
sale?
want to give away.
Those shirts look kind of fresh there.
I know we have a lot of people watching the live right now. I want to give away the
Nice.
book. I want to autograph it and give it away. So if you want to pick a number, I don't know how many people are watching. You just select a number, and the winner will get it. Will get a copy of it. And so I want to give a copy, and also want to give a free T-shirt as well to anyone that's on live or that's watching the live right now. So it's up to you how you want to go about the. Okay, you could ask people to interact and ask questions, and then
Yeah. So well, check it out. The magic number is number 5. There's no secret about that, right? It's all about
yeah,
5
no
reasons.
everything five, no five first
It's all
five.
about 5 reasons.
Yeah, so the
So
person,
yeah. So here's the thing, and it doesn't have to be right now live. Just whenever somebody catches it. What I would say is if everyone could put their 5 reasons, right? The fifth person to put their 5 reasons, I think we'll select that person. We'll then inbox them after they comment. But the fifth person to write down 5 reasons that they should be an entrepreneur or get into business. So 5 reasons that you should get into business. You put that in, and I think that's worthy of a free book.
yeah, free book, and then we could do one more too. 5 reasons why. I'm a community guy.
Nice.
If you 5 reasons that you should get involved in your community or make something, you'll get a free T-shirt as well. So I'll send you a T-shirt, one of those. So
Sounds good.
yeah, but in regard to the next step, really, the next step is we have the Five Reason podcast going on. The idea of the podcast is really to focus on 5 core pillars. Health, wealth, relationship, education, and culture. Those are 5 reasons main pillar for the podcast show. So every week we're going to bring you a guest that focusing on one of those pillar, that fit in one of those 5 pillars. So stay tuned every Saturday. So we're going to take that. That's part of the 5 Reason podcast. In terms of the 5 Reason as a company, we have many different things in store coming up. The details yet, but stay tuned. We asking people just go on our Facebook page, Instagram 5 Reason Brand Facebook page, 5 Reason Brand, and send us your 5 reason basically in any categories and stuff. Stay in touch with us, and we would love to hear your 5 reasons as well. And I think that's going to be my you know, the next title for my next book. I don't know yet, but I'm just saying, you know,
So that's how
who
it
knows?
happens. I get it. You get on a podcast
I don't know. It
and then
could
it
be.
comes to you. I get it.
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
absolutely, absolutely. No.
All right. So again, you've tuned in to the Five Reasons podcast. If you're just tuning in way towards the end, rewind. We're gonna play this back later. You're gonna see this live on the in the Facebook page and on YouTube. Um, but we are running a contest. So if you write down the five reasons why you've started a business or why you should start a business, and then what's the other five?
Five reasons you should get involved in the community
So combination of entrepreneurship and community.
and community work. Yeah.
And whenever you book,
Or
and
if you have any other five reasons, any other five reasons that you have, we would love to hear it. You could send us an email, info@reason.life, LIFE. So check out our Facebook page. You could check out our Instagram page. It's Five Reason Brand on Facebook, Five Reason Brands and Instagram, and also our website www.fivereasons.life, LIFE.
yes,
So
sir.
that's in many ways you could connect with us or give us a call, whichever.
Very nice, very nice. All
Any
right,
other
well,
questions that we have on the chat, or before we go, we'd love to. Let's take two questions. I don't know if anyone has any questions. So we could take a question or two, real quick. Nothing.
looks like folks are being a little shy. We always get all these questions after the fact. um,
Well, if you want to call back after, you want to call us, reach us back 857-209-4984, 857-209-4984. You could give me a
good.
call. Be more than happy to take your questions or anything that you may have. 857-209-4984. Would love to hear from you, and would love
Yes,
to
sir.
hear your five reasons.
Okay, we got one more.
I think there's a question.
Yeah. So, what is the best advice to someone who wants to get more people to know their business?
You want me to?
Get more visibility.
For me, it's all about your marketing. It's all about your brand, and what is it? Number one, what is it you're trying to communicate with people about it, about your business? What is it that you want people to know about your brand or your business? And second, you just gotta who you are targeting. So that's the most important question. Who you are targeting. So once you understand who you're targeting, once you understand what you try to relate, the message you're trying to relate, everything else is like a piece of cakes. Because if for a specific example, let's say you're serving women, okay, so within that women community, there's so many different categories. If and then for your business, let's say your business is you're making head wrap for women. So okay, you're serving women. That's your category. But head wrap. So what type of women? For what you try to communicate, what type of women that wear head wrap? So you have to understand your market. If it's African, for example, African women, they lack head wrap on Sundays and things like that. It's a tradition that goes with the war. Or traditional Caribbean women, and based on the style. So those are the you have to define it. This is the type of women that I'm targeting. So I know Black women or African women I'm going after. So therefore you craft your message to go after this particular group. That's how you be able to get people to know about your brand. And then from there, you just put little things. Let's say you do giveaways, social media, that's one, get the word out there. and try to go to church, pass flyers or things, so people could hear, could see pictures, based on your Facebook page, Instagram. People could see, because a lot of time people react visually, what they want to see, like they want to see the product. And then, lastly, you could just, the best you could do is do workshop, educate people about your product. That doesn't mean you're selling. You don't do things to sell. You do workshop to educate. Why is head wrap is important? How do you wrap your head, perfectly, or whatever? What's a perfect wrap or something? So you do a little educational videos. That's how you be able to get people to know about your product, about your business, because you're giving information. Because giving information is the key. While you're educating people, they're more likely to um, um, get into your product. So now they can relate to your products and stuff. So that's my advice. What about you, V?
Well, call Webprint Live and we'll get it done for you.
I agree. Oh, no, shameless plug, by the way. This podcast is about
what I would say is, the best advice to get more people to know your business. I mean, definitely agree exactly what a girl has said. I think it's about, figuring out who your audience is and speaking to them. But then I would always say, the most powerful marketing is word of mouth. So I think it starts with the people you know. Sometimes people try to market to strangers and try to get people from all over the country and forget that on your phone you have, a few hundred people.
Absolutely.
So hitting up, starting with family and friends, and of course you don't want to bother, but just in a way, hey, listen, I've just started this venture. I'd appreciate if you can check it out, or if you know somebody, you can forward the information who might need this. Start with your inner circle, and then grow from there, and then grow from there. And each one customer you get, or one client that you get, you got to treat them like gold, especially your first few, because with them, they can become ambassadors. You get one customer, and the thing you always have to remember, hey, if you like my product or you like my service, is there anybody else that you can recommend or refer? Can you do a testimonial on my website, or share my link on social media? Can we get some sort of feedback? Can you do a quick video for me so I can post it on my site? Utilizing your personal network is, to me, the best place to start, and it's the lowest cost to start, because most of the times, if it's really your friends and family, they're not going to charge you to help you out.
Absolutely. Shameless plug. This podcast is brought to you by Enfocus Entertainment for all your wedding needs, or occasion videos, photos, and also for any production needs. Just hit them up. They're right here in Randolph, 781-752-7556. If you're getting married, they are the to-go company to take your pictures and do your wedding videos and stuff. And also New England Christian Television Network, NECTN. It's the only New England Christian Television Network in the Boston area. You could download their app, NECTN, NECTN, on the Google Play Store or on the iTunes, so you could get the app. And also by Webprint Lab for all your print productions, web productions, anything, flyers, business card, website, anything that you need, you're going to need for your business, multimedia, you're going to need for your business. Hit them up, Webprint Lab. You could visit their website, webprintlab.com, and also they're on social, Facebook, Instagram page. And of course, by yours truly, 5 Reason that live. And don't forget to get a copy of the book, and I'll be more than happy to, if you call me, if you call this number, I'll be more than happy to autograph your copy if you want to get it. If you're in the Boston area, I could get it for you sooner. It's only, it's not that much. It's only $20, and I'll throw a t-shirt with it as well. Number is 857-209-4984. You could hit me up, 857-209-4984. 4984. You could call me. I'll be more than happy to work you. If you get the book, I'll even give you 1 hour free coaching in terms of sit down with you. That's my shameless plug.
Oh no, have no shame. Have no shame in plugging. Because to answer the young lady's question, the best way to get people to know about your business is to let them know about your business, right?
Yep,
Talk
absolutely.
about it, spread it. Because at the end of the day, you're here to help people. So the
Absolutely.
more people know and are aware, the more people you can help. So
Absolutely.
definitely had a great conversation here, great interview. Again, those who are just tuning in, you tuned into 5 Reasons podcast. We're live here. So all the bloopers you're gonna catch, all of the, the there's no unedited, unscripted. We definitely
Okay.
had some questions, but this was all about you. It was all about 5 Reasons audience, and those who understand that it starts with 5 reasons, whether it be 5 reasons for family, 5 reasons for business, 5 reasons for faith, 5 reasons for work, for school. It's all about creating that 5 reasons and having purpose and creating pillars for your life. So we just heard from Gerlins, who dug pretty deep into how his life led to the 5 reasons and how it's going to continue on into the future as he continues to embark on his on his various endeavors. We thank you, audience. We've already thanked our sponsors who are paying the bills. I'm gonna leave you with the last words, and then we're gonna sign out.
Well, thank you very much for everyone who's watching. You guys are the backbone of that brand, and also to help us get the word out. So we can't do this without you, and we do this just for you to share that our experience and everything else to you. So tell a friend to tell a friend every Saturday, 1 p.m. live, 5 Reasons. And stay tuned for next week. You don't want to miss the next episode. We're going to have a very special guest with us on the studio next week. And as always, would love to hear from you. Send us an email, info@5reason.live, or give us a call if you have any questions. Would love to hear from you, suggestions, anything else. 857-209-4984. Until then, have a blessing evening. Thank you for watching.